What is going on, YouTube? Welcome back to the channel. My name's Jay Mason. I'm 28 years old. I'm an entrepreneur, run my own company, all of the good stuff. Welcome back to the channel. I say welcome back to the channel. This is going to be it is a different channel. The last time I uploaded to YouTube was around 5 years ago. Boy, were times different back then. A lot has changed. We started a new channel because I don't have access to the old one. It's how it should be. Everything happens for a reason and everything happens in due course. So we're right where we need to be. Let's dive into it. Today, I want to talk about my experience so far with coming off steroids, as you can tell by the title of the video. To give you a bit of context really quickly, around 4 years ago, I went to my doctor, I got my bloods done, and I found that my testosterone levels were significantly low. My testosterone was 13 nanomole on the scale, which varies from 8 to 32. The average male, they say, should be minimum 18 to 22 on the scale. I was 13. So my doctor prescribed me with testosterone replacement therapy, 125 milligrams a week. With anything, when you begin injecting testosterone, you realize it's easier than what people perceive it to be. You realize it's not what people perceive it to be in terms of complexity or the side effects that people say that you gain. One thing leads to another and you begin trialing other compounds, up in your doses, all of the good stuff. This isn't the video for that today. For the past 3 years, I've been what people consider to be blasting and cruising. Basically, you do periods of higher dosages, super physiological dosages, and then you do the equal amount of time at a more appropriate dosage. Well, this time around has been a little bit different. I have now been off all performance enhancing drugs for 3 weeks now. And I just want to touch on my experience, how I'm feeling, and if you are out there considering coming off cold turkey, what you can experience so far, and hopefully this can just provide some value to another male out there, because I feel like people don't really speak about it that much. So to give you some context, even more context today, wow. I came off cold turkey. I was in the middle of a full-blown blast. I was cutting. I realized, for whatever reason, could be lifestyle factors, my body wasn't responding to my cut in the way that I wanted it to compared to last year. Noticeable difference. And so I decided for the first time in about 4 years, it would be more beneficial for me to take a break from steroids, let my body come off and breathe. So that's what I've done. So to touch on, I was probably around a total milligram usage of 1,200 to 1,400 milligrams of total compounds per week. I was using approximately 500 to 600 milligrams of testosterone a week. I always use Sustanon 250. I like how it's quicker than testosterone and anthate, but I was in the middle of a full-blown blast and I decided enough's enough. I'm coming off. I came off cold turkey. I didn't lower my dosages down and taper off. I literally went from my total weekly usage to nothing. And here's what I've experienced so far. Weeks 1 and 2, no change to energy levels, no change to mood. Actually, what I found, there was a slight improvement in body composition and a slight improvement in sleep. I anticipate that I was under so much load for such a long period of time because I've never fully come off, that my body, when I stopped injecting my total loads immediately, the loads are going to slowly come out of your system across the next 1 to 6 weeks. I anticipate that my levels began to kind of come back down to a normalized range. My body felt relaxation. It was like my body was able just to breathe. And my composition and sleep actually improved, which I was pretty surprised at, and I was feeling good. Now, the reason why I'm doing this video is because I'm in week 3 and there has been some noticeable changes. Energy definitely has begun to dip, 100%. I don't have as much of a step in my step, if that makes sense. I feel like I'm 1 step behind versus where I normally would be. Tasks are seeming a little bit more difficult. It takes a bit more energy to get tasks done. That's a noticeable change. I feel like at the start of week 3, I was maybe getting a little bit of like a headache and heavy eyes. Lowered aggression. Not that steroids make you aggressive, because they don't in any way. Steroids amplify who you are. If you're an arsehole and you take steroids, you become a bigger arsehole. Luckily for me, I'm a pretty nice guy overall. So steroids have only benefited my life, 100%. Definitely a little bit lower aggression. For example, even when I'm just in the gym, that oomph towards the leg press or just any lifting that I'm doing, it just doesn't feel as fun because I don't feel as amped up to be doing it. So that's a noticeable change. And sleep has now started to actually deteriorate again. The reason I got my bloods done 4 years ago was because I wasn't sleeping. So I anticipate, because I was using Sustanon 250, which has faster acting esters, as well as some slower ones, the majority of my testosterone levels have now reached more of a baseline level. So now I'm a bit more of a normal guy. I have noticed my body composition to begin to change, and I can see physically my muscles aren't as hard or as dense or as full, and I feel a little bit more softer around the edges. Not too much of a difference, but a difference in body composition. So this week has been generally a tougher week mentally too. And so I think this is the point where guys who may even just be on testosterone, who are worried about coming off, this is where we really need to start paying attention to ourselves and looking within. I've started implementing things like breath work and meditation, and being a lot more patient with myself to just understand that if I do start to feel some form of frustration or slowness towards my day, there's a reason behind that. And so I'm just controlling my emotions and doing everything that I can right now to make sure my body's functioning in the best way. A couple of things have changed in week 3. Weeks 1 and 2, I was still on super high protein, around 300 to 400 grams per day. I've now lowered my protein to around 200 grams per day, just to help digestion. Also, whilst you're not on performance enhancing drugs, you supposedly can't uptake as much protein. And so at this moment in time, whilst I'm kind of going through this health phase, I would like to focus on digestion and just helping the body normalize. So I've lowered my protein to about 220 grams a day. It's about 1 gram to 1.2 grams of protein per pound of body weight. That's where I'm at. I've also upped my fat intake because fat intake is extremely important for natural individuals for testosterone production. So I did go from around 30 to 50 grams a day whilst being on performance enhancing drugs to now 90 grams of fat a day. I'm using the metric of a gram of fat per kilo of body weight. And that's purely just to help my hormones and help my body stabilize. So I'm trying to do everything that I can, keep active, and in the gym, making sure I'm lifting super heavy at all times. I have not changed my training. What built the muscle is what's gonna keep and maintain the muscle. And actually in week 3, my strength hasn't dipped at all. Nothing. The biggest effect in week 3, as your levels begin to normalize, is your mind. It's the mental effects before the physical effects. Because it's realistically not until week 5, 6, and 7, that's when everything's typically out of your system completely. So week 3 is where I would start to say to you guys to pay more attention, give yourself more time in the day, make sure your diet is really on point here. Don't be fucking that up, because if you start eating shit and using food as a recovery metric because you're going through some drug withdrawal, steroid withdrawal, that's a bad thing. Maintain your diet, stay in the gym, keep your cardio up, and like I've done, you don't have to do this. This is for me. I've implemented breath work every single morning, Wim Hof, and I'm just meditating, making sure I'm present, understanding myself. I'm also journaling. If you document the changes each week and write it down, you can physically see what's going on. So that really wraps up this video. I've come off cold turkey. I have done a HCG protocol just to help signal back to the nuts, hey, I'm not getting any more testosterone. It's been a while since I've been off testosterone. So just to help signal back to the nuts to say, let's start kicking in. How long I will be off testosterone for, I don't know, potentially 6 to 12 weeks. We'll see. I'll see what happens and I'll continue documenting. I aim to do a video on this each week just to really document the process and to help anyone else out there, if you are planning on coming off, what you can expect, how to manage it, that kind of stuff. So I hope this has helped. I wanted to give you this information because this is what I'm experiencing. I'm also doing this because I want to document it myself. I think it's important to understand what is going on. So if I do something like this again in the future, I can just look back on my notes and say, this is the path I can predict to happen. Predictability is key. If you can manage what you can, what's the saying now? Measure what you can manage, something like that. But if you can manage it, if you can measure it, you can manage it. So that's what I'm anticipating to do here, and I hope that's provided some value to you guys. In terms of, one last thing, I did see a doctor the other week. Doctors typically don't know what they're talking about when it comes to anything PD related. They think your dick shrinks, they think your balls shrink. Your balls will shrink because they're not producing testosterone. Your dick doesn't shrink, as you guys have definitely noticed. So doctors won't know anything about this typical situation. Your hormones will always turn back on, I believe that. If you plan on having kids in the future, you've got no worries at all. You've got things like your HCGs, all of the SERMs that you take after to help your natural production come back alive. The biggest effects are just mental effects that you need to watch out. This is where depression can begin to kick in if you don't manage this correctly. And if you don't know what's going on, you'll probably feel depressed. And so it's important that you just recognize that this is the time that that may occur. I will continue documenting this into week 4, 5, 6 and beyond. I hope this has helped you guys in whatever way. If my experience can help one of you out there just understand what's going on and how to manage it, that's great. So I'm going to wrap up the video here. If you did watch this all, thank you so much. As I said, my name's Jay Mason. I'm going to begin weekly content, daily content, hopefully, and just providing as much value to you guys authentically, whatever the bloody word is. You know what I'm trying to say. Being authentic to who I am. And if that can help, great. Be great. Be relentless. Stay relentless. Stay great. My name's Jay Mason. I'll see you in the next one.